There are things that we do sometimes that could kill the overall value of our home when we put it up for sale. Killing Value, Part 2. It's the Real Estate Show. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. My name is Rick Naples. I'm the owner-broker of Zone Realty LLC. You zone your home in Plainville, Connecticut. I wanted to talk some more on this show about killing value. We talked on the previous show about some of the things that we unintentionally do that sometimes devalue what our home is worth. We don't mean to do it, but sometimes it happens. On this show, I want to talk about a couple of more things that we may do that can cause problems when it comes to sell your home and may get you less than what you're actually looking for. But first, I wanted to talk about a couple of definitions. There are two things in the real estate world that become very important or come into play when you're looking to put your house up on the market. And that's the difference between what's called real value or actual value and what's called perceived value. Now, what's the difference between the two? Well, the real value is what your home is going to sell for. It's the price or the amount that the buyer is going to pay that has been researched and structured in such a way where your home is priced competitively to other homes on the market. And this is what realtors do. They look at all the different homes that have sold recently, that have closed, what they've actually sold for, that are similar to yours, size, bedrooms, bathrooms, features, and so on and so forth, and have come up with a market price that the house is going to sell for, pretty close to or sometimes over. Perceived value is a value that the buyer formulates in their own mind based on what they're seeing. Now, there are some homes that have some functions or features that seem to make that home perceive as being worth more than a like home right down the street. And I use a couple of examples a lot of times when I'm doing seminars, and one of the things is swimming pools. I talk about swimming pools a lot. You know, swimming pools are a matter of lifestyle and a matter of taste. You could have two houses that are exactly the same, square footage, number of bedrooms, features, updated kitchens, and so on and so forth. One has an in-ground swimming pool, the other doesn't. The buyer who's looking for a home with a swimming pool will perceive that home as being worth more than the home that doesn't have the swimming pool. But on the reverse side, someone who doesn't want a pool may not be willing to pay a little bit more money for a house with the pool because they really don't find the importance of it. And that brings me to a couple of more things when it comes to perceived value. Marketing is a big key when it comes to setting value on something. You know, we all see the advertisements on TV for different products, and we all see all the hype that happens on different products, or maybe it's marketed on social media or whatever. And we go after those things, and we'll pay a premium price for those things because of the marketing that's been done. We believe that XYZ brand is worth more than this particular brand because of the way it's been presented. But sometimes paying a premium price for something is not the real value of what that item is. And this is where you have to be very careful when it comes to purchasing a home. You know, the seller, you sellers out there are going to do different things that your realtor recommends that will put your home in such a situation where it's putting its best foot forward, so that the buyer realizes that the price that's being asked for the home is the price they should offer on the home, right? If there's competition, obviously maybe a higher price might be offered. But you're going to do things when you're marketing your home that are going to help the buyer perceive its value. Now the challenge is to make all of these different things coordinate or come together. In other words, the buyer has to feel that the perceived value of the home is actually the real value of the home. And when the real value, the documented value, the value that can be backed up by statistics, matches the perceived value or what they are willing to pay for the home, then they feel they got a good buy, a fair buy, and they're comfortable with their purchase. And this is what creates the strong offers on a home. Now, we've seen recently, because of the low inventory, competition for homes, and I just kind of want to talk about that just a little bit. Sometimes people get into a buying frenzy, and they're going to offer more than what the seller's asking for the home. And that's all great. I mean, it's a seller's market. The problem with that is that unless they're a cash buyer, there's going to be a bank involved or a finance source involved. And that price has to appraise. So if you're asking this particular number for a home and someone offers you something over that, and then the bank comes in and does an appraisal, which is based on real value, like I just talked about, and that real value does not match what the buyer has offered, there's going to be an issue. There's going to have to be a renegotiation. So you have to be very careful about real value to perceived value.
Real value versus perceived value. What's the difference? Real value is actual. It's when a home is compared to like homes that have sold and closed. Perceived value is a subjective perception. How does this affect the purchase of a home? Well, perceived values can be influenced by marketing. It is created by functions, features, visual appeal, usability, brand image, personal experience, and sometimes rarity. For example, swimming pools, in-ground especially. To someone who likes pools, the home is worth more, but to someone who doesn't, maybe not. Built-ins like corner hutches or wall bureaus, some find them appealing, others may not. Or a home surrounded by land versus one with no or little land. When the perceived value and the real value match, customer expectations are fulfilled. This creates the feeling of satisfaction in the price paid for the home. My name's Rick Naples, Realtor, broker, owner of Zone Realty LLC, licensed in Connecticut, 860-385-2218.
Now let's talk some more about some of the things that we do that may intentionally or unintentionally devalue our homes. I mean, nobody does anything to make their home worth less, right? Well, sometimes we do. And I'm going to talk on this section of the show about the do-it-yourselfer, the people who do projects around their home and they do it yourself. You know, there's lots of stores out there, there's lots of warehouse type stores that sell all kinds of products and all kinds of things, and some individuals are very handy and can do a lot of different projects. Now I'm not talking about, you know, cleanup type projects, simple things like, you know, repainting something, although sometimes I've seen some really bad paint jobs, repainting things, doing some landscaping work, cleaning up the yard, you know, those things like that. What I am talking about is big projects, projects that you feel you can save a little money if you do it yourself. And one of the things I always cite is building a patio or a deck. They're, in some people's eyes, very simple to do, as long as you kind of know what you're doing. And although it's laborious, you can do it yourself. It saves a lot of money when you do it yourself because you don't have to pay somebody else for the labor to do it, right? The problem is sometimes we forget that our towns have rules and regulations or building codes when it comes to certain things. So in other words, if you're going to build a patio or if you're going to build a deck, you have to follow those rules. You can't just go ahead and build it. Well, maybe you can. Maybe you figure, well, I'm going to save a lot of money if I do this myself and it's going to be behind the house and no one's going to really see it. But that causes an issue when it comes time to resell your home, because the first thing that the buyer is going to be looking at is when this particular thing was built and were permits pulled. You know, banks, when they're going to finance a home, they're very concerned about add-ons and additions and whether they were done legally. I've had situations where people have, for lack of better words, knocked together a shed, you know, use some scrap wood or wood they got from somewhere and put together a small little shed or something like that in the backyard that they built themselves. And some of them have come out very nice, and that's true. But maybe there's a code that says you can't build that particular structure in that area, or the placement of the structure, or the size of the structure has limitations. So you have to be aware of all that. There are also the do-it-yourselfers that like to do other type things, fixing plumbing, rewiring something, things along those sorts. I, over the years, have done a lot of small projects on homes that I have owned. Very simple projects. And there's no problem with that. But you have to be careful that you don't step into something that is, well, a little bit beyond your ability. In other words, the old saying of biting off more than you can chew, you know. Simple wiring. Homeowners can do that as long as they're following rules and regulations and codes and using the right wires and so on and so forth. But big wiring projects, putting in a new circuit or rewiring for a whole new room or something like that, you might want to look at hiring a professional. Expense is always a concern on our minds as homeowners, right? We don't want to do it cheaply, but we do want to do it inexpensively. But we want to do it right. So sometimes you have to say, well, if this is a project that I can do on my own, I have the time to do it, I have the knowledge to do it, but it might be better to hire someone else, someone who is an expertise, is a professional, has the knowledge to do this for me. And because they are a trade professional, they're going to pull the permits, they're going to research the codes, the regulations, and so on and so forth in order to do the project. Perfect example is putting up a fence. Fences are easy to put up. I mean, let's be honest. You dig a few holes, stick some poles in the ground, and nail some fence to it, right? But towns have regulations, they have codes, you know, where those fences have to go, how close to the property line, how high they can be, and so on and so forth. So unless you're willing to do all that pre-research and get the permit and the permission to put up the fence, and I know that sounds funny, it's my property, why do I need permission? Well, there are guidelines, so you have to follow them. You could get yourself in hot water. I once had a neighbor of mine have an in-ground, or not an in-ground, but an above-ground swimming pool put in. And he built a beautiful deck around the swimming pool. He built it himself. And what happened is when the town came in to do the reassessment, as they do every few years, they looked at the pool, they looked at the deck, and discovered that the pool was too close to the house and that no permits were pulled to make the deck. The town actually ordered the owner to remove the pool and tear down the deck. Now, of course, this ran into all kinds of legal issues, and there were fights and arguments and so on and so forth. Long story short, the homeowner went through a lot of expense to not only remove the pool and remove the deck, but have the pool rebuilt further away from the home, and then hire a professional to come in and rebuild the deck. Very expensive lesson. There are also problems, as I said, with fences, where somebody's put up a fence and they put it too close to the property line, or they weren't aware of the property line and it actually is a little bit on the neighbor's line. We've had situations with sheds and outdoor buildings being too close to the property line and having to be moved and so on and so forth. So you need to be very careful, and sometimes it's best to just hire the professional, hire someone who knows what the town rules and regulations are going to do those things for you. But that doesn't say not to do little do-it-yourself projects around the house, because if you're capable, let's do them.
I did it myself. There's a pride and satisfaction when you save money by doing a project yourself. But be aware, some do-it-yourself projects can devalue your home. Always make sure you're following your town's codes and regulations. Get permits when needed. Don't build unpermitted structures. Avoid the temptation of cutting corners. And don't do more than you're capable of. Saving a few bucks is great, but sometimes spending a little to have someone who's licensed and experienced will pay off in the long run. Remember, home inspectors will spot those DIY projects. I'm Rick Naples, owner, broker, realtor, Zone Realty LLC, licensed in Connecticut, 860-385-2218.
A lot of times when we're looking to put our home on the market, we are looking to enhance the home or make the home appeal to the widest amount of buyers that are out there, right? There's a lot of buyers for each home because there's so little inventory. I want to talk about personalization. What is personalization? Well, bottom line is you live in your house, right? So you make your house your home. Maybe you're a collector. You have collections around the home. Maybe you have particular likes as far as colors or decoration schemes are. The furniture you pick out, and so on and so forth. I once told a story on a real estate show about a house that was owned by someone who was a professional hunter. That was their hobby. They had guns. They had a lot of their trophies, animals that they had taxidermists do, and they had those displays in their home and so on and so forth, and they were very proud of that. But it turned out a lot of buyers have issues and sensitivity to those kinds of things. On the flip side, I've had people that are professional collectors. They're into different types of collections, and they dedicated a room to their house or an area of their house, or maybe the whole house, to their particular types of collections. But again, not everyone is into that kind of collection, whatever it might be. You're looking to do the old idea of neutralizing, of making your home appeal to the widest group of buyers possible. Realtors will usually say that if you have any bold colors in your home, unless there's a specific purpose to that bold color, to neutralize. Now, I'm not saying paint your whole house bland white, but I am saying make sure that if there's any personalization, anything that you've done to your home that is your personality, reflects your likes, you might want to look at those things and tone them down a little bit. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about personal beliefs, faith. Sometimes we display our beliefs and our faith throughout our homes, correct? There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But when you put your home on the market, you're now marketing a product. And you have to remember, you're going to get different types of people from different backgrounds, different statuses, different beliefs coming in and looking at your home to see if they want to buy it. And some people are uncomfortable with certain things when they're displayed prominently in homes. So you have to kind of take a look at that. I always say, if you have personalized things around the home, collections, you're a hunter, you have your belief mantras placed around the house, whatever it might be, you might want to pack those things up to display at the next home that you buy, that you own. Because again, you're trying to make your home appeal to the widest sense of buyers that are out there. And you want to make sure that you haven't over-personalized the home in order to possibly turn off somebody. Or there's also the situation where these things can, in a buyer's mind, make the home seem like it's worth less. Collections, as I said earlier. If you have a house that's filled with your collections from over the years, it may fill up a room and make the room look smaller than it actually is. And a buyer will perceive that my stuff's not going to fit in this room because it's overwhelmed with your collection. It's the same thing with people who have smaller homes and purchase oversized furniture. Big furniture can make a room look smaller, which again, in the buyer's mind, might make them perceive that the home is worth less because it feels smaller than what the asking price is. So talk to your realtor, look at the things throughout your home, depersonalize as much as you're comfortable with so that you can get the best price you possibly can when you put your home on the market.
A word about over-personalizing. We all make our house our home. But sometimes, without realizing it, we devalue the house. Something as simple as your choice of colors may not appear to all. Perhaps you're a collector. You have a lot of stuff. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Some people are sensitive to those things, so put your trophies and guns away. We all have faith and beliefs. But remember, not all believe as you. Whatever you're into, whatever your trend following is, do not over-personalize your home when you're trying to sell it. Put those things away to display at your next home. I'm Rick Naples, broker realtor, Zone Realty LLC, licensed in Connecticut, 860-385-2218.
My name's Rick Naples, and this has been the Real Estate Show. I always thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden-Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.
Hi, I'm Jay McCormick, a board director at Nutmeg TV, your local public TV station right here in Farmington. Nutmeg TV has been an integral part of our community for over 30 years, providing a platform for residents to share stories, voice concerns, and celebrate achievements. It's a vital resource that connects us all, bringing countless local events to our TV screens. The topics are limitless and vary from being aware of scams to veterans helping veterans. Nutmeg TV continues to be here for the community. To continue this important work, we're asking for your support through a donation. Your contribution will ensure that Nutmeg TV remains a robust and relevant resource for our community. Thank you for supporting Nutmeg TV. Together, we can continue to amplify the voices and stories that make our community unique and vibrant.
To make a donation, simply visit our website at nutmegtv.com or call the office at 860-321-7405 for assistance.